Welcome to Musicians Institute webinar on financing your education. My name is Steve Len. I'm the Senior Director of Enrollment at Musicians Institute, and I'd like to introduce the two individuals joining me today. First up, we have Martha Torres, who is the Director of Admissions. Hi, Martha.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
All right, and then we also have from our Financial Aid Department, Mr. Eric Gonzalez, who is one of our Financial Aid Officers. Hey, Eric.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you.
All right, so I'm going to go through this presentation. I want to make sure everyone is aware that we are recording this session. So we will send a follow-up email. That email will include a link to be able to go through this information and watch this session again. So again, it's being recorded. We'll make sure that everyone gets that link and gets the recording of this session. We're going to go through quite a bit of information. The links that you see in this presentation or emails, websites that are referred to, that will also be included in the follow-up email that you're going to receive. So pretty much all the information that you see here, that will be sent to you in an email. So rest assured you will get that. We are going to save a little bit of time at the end for an open Q&A, but during the session, Martha and Eric will be monitoring both the chat and also the Q&A. So if all of you, wherever you see your chat button, right next to it should also be a button for Q&A. We find that if you have very specific questions, using that Q&A is just a bit easier to manage and answer your questions through that. They're also going to kind of keep track of some of the questions and answer some of those verbally at the end. They may respond and also address it at the end because that's a good way for just everyone to learn and get some more information. All right, so I hope that all makes sense and sounds good. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So what is financial aid? That's a very big and common question. Financial aid is money awarded by government and schools to help students pay for education expenses. I always say that's important to know because a lot of people, particularly domestic students, they tend to think that financial aid just means FAFSA or money from the government, but it's not. It's scholarships, money from the school, government, it's everything, all funding sources. Types of aid, you have grants, which is free money that does not need to be repaid. And you also have loans, which is borrowed money that needs to be paid back. Now, that's specifically applying to federal financial aid, which I'm going to get more into here in just a moment. And actually right now. So with the federal financial aid program, this is the aid that's available at MI through federal and state aid. So we have Pell Grants, supplemental grants, which are referred to as SEOG, subsidized and unsubsidized student loans, parent and graduate plus loans, the Cal Grant, and also the Chafee Grant. So you can see for grants, which again is the money that does not need to be repaid, you have potentially 4 different options there. It is absolutely possible to be eligible for more than one grant and to be able to receive more than one grant. I also like to expand a little bit on parent and graduate plus loans, particularly the parent plus loan. So if you're a dependent student, now what that means is if you're under the age of 24, the federal government automatically considers you dependent of your parents, even if you don't live with your parents. We've seen many situations where students move out of their household, they move out on their own at 18, 19, 20 years old, maybe haven't lived with their parents for a few years. But again, until you turn the age 24, the government considers you dependent of your parents. What that means is when you're filling out the FAFSA application, they want you to fill out a section and put, for example, your income information, how much money you make. And then there's also a section that your parent or one of your parents is going to need to fill out. So they're going to kind of look at all that and take all that into consideration to determine your eligibility. Now, for those dependent students, the parents also have an option to apply for what's called a Parent Plus loan. This is actually a credit-based loan. So if the parent has good or well-established credit, they may be eligible for that loan. That loan could help and is commonly used to help with any balance of tuition you may have. So let's say we're processing your financial aid. We see how much you're eligible for loans and grants, and perhaps maybe that doesn't cover the entire tuition. Well, through the Parent Plus loan, the parent can borrow an amount that would cover that balance potentially. And if they're eligible for an amount that exceeds that balance, they can borrow that amount and be able to use that funding for living expenses. So again, that's a little bit more about Parent Plus loan. Again, something your parent would have to apply for, credit-based, can help with your balance and potentially living expenses. Okay, the requirements. This is again applying for federal financial aid, federal and state financial aid. You must be a US citizen or legal resident. Legal resident means that if you're an immigrant to the US and you have a green card, as long as you have a green card, then you can apply for federal financial aid. You must also have a valid social security card number, have a high school diploma or its equivalent, maintain satisfactory academic progress. Now that's while you're a student at MI. What that means is make sure you have passing grades for all your classes. So as long as you have passing grades, you're doing well in your classes, you can continue to receive financial aid every quarter throughout your program. Be enrolled in a full-time or part-time degree, associate, bachelor, or certificate program. So whether it's a 6-month to 1-year certificate program, or year-and-a-half associate, 3 to 4-year bachelor's, you can apply for federal aid, and also on the master's level. Definitely work with our financial aid department, and they can give you more information about what you may be eligible for on the master degree level. Also, the Cal Grant, be a legal state resident from California. Now, this is really important. I actually just found out recently from our financial aid director that we're not seeing as many Cal Grant applicants and or recipients. So we really want to stress this point. If you have lived in California for more than 1 year, then you're considered a resident of California and you can apply for this Cal Grant. And this would be in addition to the other grants you're automatically applying for, like Pell Grant and SEOG, the ones that I mentioned previously. So again, if you already live in California, if you've gone to school here, you've been here for several years, definitely apply for that grant. The requirements are a little bit different, and there's also a different website and application you need to fill out along with your FAFSA. So I'm going to show that here in just a moment. If you are moving to California, so let's say you're currently in another state, let's say, for example, you're going to move to California to come to MI, to be on campus, and your program is longer than 1 year. Well, once you've been living in California for over a year, then you can apply for the Cal Grant while you're a current student. So we see this most commonly with bachelor degree students, right? So if you're in the bachelor program, you're going to be here for 3 to 4 years. Well, after your first year, apply for the Cal Grant, and then you could potentially utilize that grant for future quarters and future years. All right. How to apply. So this is some of the information. Again, I will email all of this to you. So you'll receive this in an email. But to submit your FAFSA, you want to go to studentaid.gov. And then you see school code 015238. That's the school code for Musicians Institute. What that means is you fill out the FAFSA application. At the end of the application, it says, do you want to send all of this information to a college or university? If you put in that school code, then your information will Musicians Institute will pop up, and then your info will be sent directly to our financial aid department. Apply for loans. You also do that through studentaid.gov. Apply for the Cal Grant. As I mentioned, there's a specific website and application for that, and that's csac.ca.gov. And then apply for scholarships. And I'm going to jump more into that in just a moment here. And that would be scholarships.mi.edu. When to apply? Of course, now. Just whatever you do, try not to delay. So this is sort of twofold we like to mention. The moment you know you want to go to MI, to Musicians Institute, there's a couple things you want to do. You want to apply to a program, submit your admissions application, and then apply for financial aid, submit that FAFSA application. And you just want to do that as soon as you possibly can. But we also like to say, what I mean by it's twofold, is we always like to mention that it can be possible to both apply for a program and apply for financial aid, even as we get closer to a start date. We don't recommend it. It's not the best way to go, but you can absolutely do it. So for example, we are still accepting applications for our fall start term. And the fall classes begin in October. They begin October 7th. But you can actually even apply easily up until through the end of next week. So either this week, this weekend, or next week. You can submit your admissions application, apply to a program, and fill out the FAFSA and apply for FAFSA. And then we'll do our best to do a very quick turnaround to let you know what you're eligible for. But again, the key thing is just try to jump on everything as quick as you can. So what happens next after you do those two steps? Did you submit a school application? I just kind of covered that. In order to know exactly what you're eligible for from financial aid for Musicians Institute, you really need to submit your admissions application. Just so you know, and some of you may already be aware of this, some domestic students, you may know that you can just go onto the FAFSA website, fill out all the information and submit your application now and not really send your information to a school or maybe not even apply to a college. But then what will happen is you're going to get some information from what's called the Department of Education. They're the ones that process all the financial aid. And they're going to send you some numbers. They're going to send you a long email. I really think it's kind of confusing to go through. And it's hard to kind of make heads or tails of that. And but here's the most important thing is your financial aid award can vary from one college to the next. The best example is if you're going to go to a state-funded school versus a private school, college or university. An example of that is USC, University of Southern California versus UCLA. Well, UCLA is a state-funded school as to where USC is a private college or private university. So again, if you applied to both of those colleges and applied to financial aid, the award letter they send you is going to look different. The awarding and then the amounts can be slightly different. So that's why it's important for you to not only apply for FAFSA, but apply for admissions with MI. And we need to know things like what program do you want to go into? Is it a certificate or a degree? How long is it? 6 months, 1 year, year and a half, 4 years? Those are all things that we really need to know to really let you know what exactly you're looking at and what exactly you're going to be eligible for. So keep that all in mind. Sorry, that's a long explanation for that. Our financial aid department will reach out to you. That would be Eric and some other individuals that will reach out to you as soon as they have all that information. If your admissions application is in and you submit the FAFSA application, we usually receive that within 3 to 5 days, sometimes sooner. And then they'll at least send you a welcome email right away. And then they'll start to process your financial aid, reach out to you. So especially if you're wanting to go for fall, we try to expedite that and get that turnaround even quicker. Verification, just letting you know that part of financial aid when you apply, the federal government or Department of Education will just randomly select individuals. It's like 1 out of every 3 or 4 individuals or applicants. They'll randomly select them for verification. That just means that the information you're putting on your FAFSA application, they're going to want you to send some documentation. For example, it could be a copy of your tax returns, but various documents just to support the information you put on your application. So that's a verification process. Then there's awarding. So that's when our financial aid department will send you an award letter that shows you exactly what loans and grants you're eligible for, what the amount is for every quarter, and then if it doesn't cover the entire balance of tuition, what your estimated balance would be for each quarter. So that's awarding. And then there's the financial aid forms. Once you've indicated to us and let us know what loans and grants you want to accept, then they're going to send you some final forms or application to officially accept those loans and grants. All right, scholarships. This is always an exciting topic. And scholarships are available, by the way, for both domestic and international students. So any of the international students that may be joining us right now, this is definitely some opportunities for you. So there's a couple of different types of scholarships. We have what we call outside scholarships. There's a great website you can check out, well, a couple of them, careeronestop.org and also studentaid.gov. So those, of course, are scholarships that are not offered directly through Musicians Institute, but you may find some scholarship opportunities that can fit the program you're going into or that you think, fit you, and you can apply for them and you'll be able to utilize them at Musicians Institute. And then through MI directly, we have our MI scholarships, which again is scholarships.mi.edu. And there's different types of scholarships there. We have merit-based scholarships, performance-based, financial aid need-based. Most students will have the opportunity to apply for multiple scholarships, different types of scholarships. And it is absolutely possible to be eligible for more than one scholarship. We do see that often. So that's what the scholarships do stack is what we call that. So yeah, you can definitely be eligible for potentially 2 or 3 different types of scholarships, just depending on your eligibility. Couple of things we like to point out here. Martha, I'm going to beat Martha to the punch on this one. She's always great about letting students know if you're checking out outside scholarships, never sign up and pay for anything. So if you find a website when you're doing your research and it says, oh, we can help you find funding for college, we can help you find additional scholarships, all you have to do is sign up and give us a credit card and pay $100. Don't do it. Just keep doing your own research and you'll find some other scholarship opportunities that are out there. Oftentimes, just various companies, it could be companies, corporations, will do various types of scholarships. We also see it through, sometimes we've seen several actually through Native American, like tribes, they offer scholarships. So if you are Native American, that's something you should really look into. Minority scholarships are oftentimes available. Those websites and organizations they vary and they can change often. So it's not like we have a direct list of those types of opportunities. Again, you just want to do research online and just see whatever scholarship opportunities you see. Sometimes companies and corporations will do scholarships because it looks really good for them and it's also a tax write-off for them. And sometimes you can see that the requirement is just filling out an application and submitting a one-page essay. And you never know, like if you write a great essay telling your story, why you need the funding and why you want to go pursue this career, you may be selected. We've seen it before, and then may be able to utilize that funding at Musicians Institute. So for all of you, both domestic and international students, absolutely 100% do as much research as you can and check often, right? I mean, if you know you're going to come to MI soon or even sometime next year, I would say check on a weekly basis, just get online and search for scholarship opportunities, see if something new pops up. Before I go to the summary, stand by here. Let me actually do this real quick. We'll expand a little bit more on scholarships. I just want to show you all where to find them on our website. And this is especially important for those of you that are going to be starting in the fall, because the MI scholarships, the final deadline for if you're going to be starting in fall is September 22nd, which is this Sunday. So probably many of you have seen this. This is the homepage on the website. Just navigate to admissions. Underneath admissions, you'll see scholarships. And then here you go. So these are the Musicians Institute and MI online scholarships. Again, you see the deadline there, September 22nd. So you have artist, producer, entrepreneur, audio engineering, and studio recording. That, by the way, does also include live music event production. The development scholarship is for domestic students, and that applies to all programs. So keep that in mind. So doesn't matter what program you're going into, as long as it's a certificate or degree, it can be performance, songwriting, any of the programs, you can apply for that development scholarship. Electronic music production, international musicians merit scholarship. So that's specifically for our international students. Independent artists, music business, musicianship scholarship, that applies to all performance programs and all degree levels. So that would be, again, and that's for both domestic and international. So whether you're a certificate, associate, bachelor, or master's, you can apply for the musicianship scholarship for performance. International outreach scholarship and the opportunity scholarship. Opportunity scholarship, keep in mind, it kind of ties in with financial aid. We also offer some scholarships for current students, even some more opportunities. So just as a side note, once you are a student here at Musicians Institute, as you're going through your program, you'll see that there are various types of scholarships that you can apply for to help you further along in your program. So I think that's a great thing that we offer there. And then if you click on any one of these, hit the drop down, it'll expand and give you all the information that you need. I always just like to show the musicianship scholarship. We oftentimes have many performance students here. So for musicianship, it gives you an overview. You can see eligibility. It's the same layout for every scholarship. You can see the requirements. I like to get right to the application checklist because that really shows what you need to submit. One-page essay describing yourself and why you should be considered for this scholarship. You may include musical background, aspirations, any other factors that you consider relevant. YouTube video URL, which should contain or needs to contain 3 performances, 2 songs in 2 different styles in an ensemble setting, at least one other live musician, and 1 solo piece. And then also your Musicians Institute acceptance letter. But you can also just submit a copy of like your welcome email or even just a verification that your admissions application has been submitted. So that is a requirement for all of these scholarships, similar to financial aid or FAFSA, right? You definitely need to apply to a program at MI in order to be considered for one of these scholarships. So that's important. Let me go back and expand on a couple of these. One-page essay. It's a common question we get, what is a good essay or a great essay? What do we want to hear? And I think also what other companies or organizations want to hear. I touched on it earlier. They really want to know, they want to hear your passion, and so do we. So, for example, why do you want to come to Musicians Institute? But not just why. Talk about what you want to focus on while you're here, but more so, what are your career aspirations? What do you see yourself doing when you're done? I mean, even if it's that you want to be a rock star, you want to be a solo artist with an amazing band that's touring the entire world, that's what you put in your essay. So whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's producing, working in a studio, mixing live sound, working in the business side of the industry, doesn't matter what it is, just really try to dive into how passionate you are regarding you doing this and why you want to be in the music industry. And then the main also key thing is don't be afraid to talk about your financial situation. Not saying everyone has to have a hard luck story, but if you, let's say your financial situation has changed recently compared to maybe what it was a few years ago, you definitely want to mention that. Maybe you had financial support before, but now you don't. Maybe you were expecting some financial support, but now you don't have that. Anything that you can just really elaborate on as to how much this scholarship is going to help you financially, that always really helps. It helps both with us and especially if you're applying for a scholarship and submitting your essay with another organization. So definitely cover those things. I hope that helps. You can always contact us for more advice, suggestions. We can even meet with you one-on-one to kind of help you with these types of requirements. And then for the performance, for this particular one on the performances, it does say in an ensemble setting with at least one other live musician. That's preferred and that's ideal. However, if you're in an area and you just don't have either players and musicians that can maybe keep up with you, or you just don't have that kind of contact with other musicians, it's okay. You can actually play along with backing tracks. So you can submit 2 songs in 2 different styles where at least we can hear music in the background and then hear you playing or singing on top of that music. So that is acceptable. We prefer if it's with a live musician, but it doesn't absolutely have to be. Okay. And then as you, pardon me, as you scroll down, you can see the scholarship amount. Most of the scholarships, the award amount is $1,000 to $2,000 per quarter. If that would be for full-time, if you're going part-time status, then the amount is always cut in half. So if you're a part-time student, the amount is generally $500 to $1,000 per quarter. And now this would be per quarter throughout the life of your program. So let's say if you receive this musicianship scholarship and you're in the bachelor degree program, you're going to receive that scholarship every quarter through the entire program, the 3 to 4 years that you're in that program. And then I'm not going to do it right now, but if I just click on this, click here to apply, that takes you right to the online application. Everything that's required for every application or every scholarship, you can submit all of that directly online. All right. Martha, as I navigate back, did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want to touch on? Maybe questions you saw?
Yeah, actually, well, first, thank you so much for covering everything. You did such a thorough job that there are
Thank
not
you.
a lot of questions in the chat or in the Q&A, but there was a couple of things that I think would benefit the rest of the group. So somebody asked if it's required to have a high school diploma in order to apply for financial aid. The short answer is not necessarily, and that's only if you're a high school senior, because obviously you haven't graduated. But if you should have graduated and you never earned that high school diploma, but you have a GED or you have the HiSET, which is a high school diploma equivalent, then those would meet that satisfaction, no problem. The same applies for our application, our admissions acceptance application. That is a requirement that you have to have a high school diploma, a GED, or the HiSET. The only exception, again, is if you're a high school senior and you're not graduating until like next year. Then you can start the process early on. You could get provisionally accepted. And then once you have that physical diploma and those transcripts, then you would just send it over to us and we would issue the formal acceptance letter. So just keep that in mind. In terms of financial aid or federal financial aid, FAFSA, it is students are only eligible, as you mentioned, Steve, if you're a U.S. citizen or a legal resident of the states. So unfortunately, if you're an international student, you're not going to be eligible to apply for financial aid. But as you just went through all the scholarship opportunities that we have, feel free to apply to as many as you think you're eligible for. And you know, luck be with you. Hopefully it can help you out. And on that, we also have a scholarship, a smaller scholarship, but for everybody that's attending today, you will all receive an automatic scholarship. Your admissions advisors will connect with you between tomorrow and early next week. They'll send you a form, a really short little form that you complete. We'll ask you to fill out or write a little essay, short little 1 page, just giving us a little bit of feedback on the event today, what you thought of it, and a little bit about yourself. And that would be that. Now, the amounts are, if you are starting this coming fall, so just in about 3 weeks or so, that amount is going to be higher than we usually do. So it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, is it $750 for full time? Or is
Yes.
it
Yeah, if you're starting in fall, $750 for full-time, $500 for start dates after.
Correct. And half of that if you're a part-time student. But again, if there's any confusion on that, your admissions advisor will connect with you. They'll clarify all of that. And there is still time to apply for our fall quarter, especially if you're looking to start online or you're local to the area, the LA area, or you're able to commute onto campus. If you're looking to relocate to LA, we usually recommend start online. Get started with your program, and then you can transfer over to on campus, giving you a little bit of time to find housing, to get yourself set up. So all of that. So if you're still looking to apply and start right away, we can definitely help you with that. So I'm going to put in my contact information in the chat, just in the event y'all have any questions or you don't know who your admissions advisor is, you're free to send me an email and I'll connect you with the right person. The other little perk for attending today's event, I'll put in a promo code that'll reduce your application fee from $100 non-refundable to $50 refundable. So in the event that you're not accepted or something doesn't work out with us or with you and you're not able to move forward, we're going to be able to refund those $50 to you, but you have to put in this code. Again, I'll put it in the chat, and then Steve will include all that information in his recap email that he'll be sending out to you guys. Let me see. There's a couple of questions in the Q&A, so let me see. So Laytona asked, what if your high school closed down? So for that, we recommend that you contact the Department of Education of your local state, because they should have records of your education. They definitely have to have that. I know that it was a prevalent problem in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina happened. A lot of records got destroyed, but there's records with the State Department of Education. So contact them. It might take a little bit of extra effort on your side because of course you're dealing with the government, but they should be able to help you find those records without a problem. The other option is there's a site called parchment.com that sometimes keeps track of high school transcripts and high school records. There is a small fee. Don't quote me on what it is. It used to be $5. It might have increased to $10. I'm not quite sure, but it's still manageable, and they should be if the records are with the Department of Education, they might be with Parchment. So check there as well. Let me see, what other questions do we have? So somebody said the YouTube URL submission is a cover song that they submitted. They recorded and played all the parts themselves. Is that okay? Ryland, I'm assuming that's for our scholarships. If so, I believe that should be okay, but remember, you do have to provide at least 2 performances. So just make sure that you read the requirements very thoroughly. And if you have any questions, your admissions advisor can help you navigate those things. Because again, it just depends on what scholarship you're applying for. They have specific requirements.
I'm sorry, Martha, what was that again?
So Ryland asked that their YouTube URL submission is a cover song that they recorded themselves and played all the parts. Is that okay?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that would be okay. That would be fine. Yeah, again, if you don't have the option, if you don't or have the option or possibility to play with other musicians, then you could submit something like that, especially for your audition for admissions. That would be no problem at all. If it's for a scholarship, the performance-based scholarship, then it would also be fine. But if at all possible, you could submit even one song with one or two other musicians, I would suggest that. If not, then you're absolutely fine.
Yep. I saw another question in the chat from Rodney. And it says, if a scholarship gives from MI gives $1,000 every term, does that mean the money goes to the student every month or every quarter? So there's two questions there. So first, if you were to be awarded any of these scholarship amounts, whatever that amount is a tuition credit. So you don't get the actual money in your hands. That's credited towards your tuition, and that's done on a quarter basis. So our terms are known as quarters, not semesters, so 3 months. So that amount would be divvied up by quarters, just depending on the length of the program. So for example, if you're in a program that's 6 months, that would be 2 quarters. So you would get $1,000 per quarter. So I hope that helps. And again, it's not cash money that goes directly to you, it's credit towards your tuition.
Since we're doing this right now, Martha, I'm going to throw this one. Do you see the one from William in the chat?
Let me see.
Yeah, so international student, what organizations are approved by you to evaluate the translation of the transcripts from their language to English?
Oh, perfect. That's a really great question. So any member of NACES, and I'll put how it's spelled I'll put it in the chat, but it's spelled NACES.org. So any member of that organization will accept the transcripts. We usually recommend SpanTran because they seem to be the fastest and the most affordable. But you're welcome to use anybody from that. So again, the organization is called NACES.org. Yeah, just look under membership and you'll see a whole host of people that do translations, and these are official and they'll translate from anywhere. So it doesn't matter where you're from.
I'm putting this in the chat right now because someone just also asked if remind them when the scholarship deadline is. Is it 9/22? Yes, that's correct. So September 22nd. And that is this Sunday. So make sure you're on that. There was a couple of other things. Oh, I know, Martha, you addressed this one already, but I know someone asked about driving from Huntington Beach. By the way, I used to live in Huntington Beach, and I'm so jealous because I don't live there anymore. But I still live in a cool city. I live in Long Beach. So first of all, I commute from Long Beach every day. Just so you know, there is the blue line and red line that you can take. So it's pretty easy. If you wanted to, you could drive to Long Beach, take the blue line up to downtown LA, then the red line to Hollywood. It's pretty simple. Nowadays, it's actually getting better than traffic. Also, when I came to MI, maybe more than a couple of years ago, I actually was living in South Orange County. So for those of you who might know California, I was living in Lake Forest. I mean, it was a massively long drive. But what I did was I was living there, saving up some money, going to school, and I really wanted to just meet people and check out the area first before relocating. Plus, once I was doing it, I quickly realized there's no way I could keep commuting and really get the most that I wanted to get out of MI. Couldn't take advantage of everything. It's difficult because oftentimes when you're on campus, you have classes throughout the day. You may get here at, your classmates start at 10 or 11 in the morning, and then you have classes throughout the day. And then in the evening, especially if you're doing performance, you might want to be rehearsing with bands, start jamming with individuals or booking studio time, whether you're independent artist producer, studio recording. See, before you know it, you find yourself wanting to be here like 12 hours a day. And if you do that on top of commuting, it could just be a little brutal after a while. So Huntington Beach person, what I recommend is even if you start that way, it's fine. But, I would say start, networking with other students, look at our roommate referral list and check out the area and see if you're able to relocate and move to Hollywood at some point in time. So I think it's fine to commute, but you're probably gonna want to be here before you know it. So just want to mention that. Oh, shoot, I thought there was also one other one. I think
Someone
that's,
is asking if the application is incomplete if they do not upload the videos. That's correct. So for scholarships, if you don't upload the videos by Sunday evening, then unfortunately we won't be able to evaluate you. So make sure that you work on it ASAP and upload all the requirements no later than Sunday night. So please, and it's Sunday night, California time. So if you're out on the East Coast, you'll have a little bit extra time.
yeah, I'll even let you all know some inside background information. We pull the scholarship list first thing Monday morning, and that's when we officially close the scholarships. Would be first thing Monday morning. So you have all the way through Sunday night to apply. Someone asked us, are we receiving international students from everywhere? Yes, we have students from literally all over the world. I mean, all four corners of the planet. It's pretty remarkable still to me. I've been in MI for a long time, and it still blows me away how many students just come from everywhere. And one of my favorite things that I always like to share this, that one of my favorite things to see, and I think we see this every quarter, is we'll see bands that form, and literally every single student in that band is from another country. You know, some will be from the US and, you know, Europe, China, Sweden, just everywhere. It's so cool. I've even seen bands that have sometimes maybe a difficult time communicating, you know, verbally with their language, but then they're all jamming the same song and killing it and sounding amazing. So I just think that's so cool. Literally the example that music is the universal language. It's a pretty awesome thing. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the presentation because I want to cover just a little bit more here. And Martha's going to continue, Martha and Eric will continue to answer your questions. And again, we're trying to save a few more minutes. Yeah, we'll still have a little bit of time at the end to answer some more questions verbally. So a summary of what we discussed so far: apply to school, which means apply to MI, and submit your FAFSA. Grants, scholarships, and loans are available to those that qualify. Meet deadlines, apply now. Communicate with your admissions and financial aid advisor. That's really important. If either someone like Eric, financial aid department, or your advisor reaches out and say, hey, we really need such and such document, please try to get that to us right away. That's really important. The faster you can get any kind of documents that we're requesting, then the faster we can, you know, completely finalize your financial aid. Provide all requested information and documents, kind of just covered that, and then complete final applications and forms. That's kind of all tied in together. All right, VA benefits. So this is for our veterans that are interested in utilizing their GI Bill or VA benefits. Every start term, every quarter, we always have military personnel veterans that are attending programs at MI. So let me go through some of this information for you. Musicians Institute is a VA approved institution and accepts the following benefits for VA approved programs: post 9/11, Chapter 33, Montgomery GI Bill Active Duty, Chapter 30, Montgomery GI Bill Selected Reserve, Veteran Readiness and Employment, Chapter 31, Survivor and Dependent Education Assistance Program, Chapter 35, and the Fry Scholarship. That's for children and spouses of members who passed away in the line of duty after 9/10/2001. So to complete your VA folder, we need documents such as, but not limited to, certificate of eligibility or benefit summary statement from ebenefits.va.gov. Again, you're going to receive that in the follow-up email. For vocational rehabilitation, Chapter 31 recipients will need authorization from your VA counselor. We also need a DD-214 member 4 copy, not required for dependents receiving post 9/11 benefits, but we will need veterans file number for processing purposes. Also, transcripts from all previously attended colleges. These must be official, and the Student Bill of Rights. Now, if you have questions, connect with your admissions advisor for more details on program eligibility. Really, I believe, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that all of the programs we offer, as long as they're certificate or degrees, are eligible for VA benefits. For more information, visit the VA website or contact Melissa Cuesta Booker for any questions. There's the VA website you can see there. That's gibill.va.gov. Again, we're going to send that to you. And then also melissac@mi.edu. Melissa is our on-site VA coordinator. So she does all the processing for veterans benefits. Okay. Now it's just open Q&A. Going back to that, there's also some email addresses there you'll see. Again, you're going to receive this admissions@mi.edu, financial aid@mi.edu. That's a good one. That goes to the entire financial aid department. There's my personal email address, stevell@mi.edu. All right. So Eric or Martha, as I start to kind of peruse what we have going on in the chat and Q&As, is there anything that either one of you would like to address verbally?
Yeah, just a couple of reminders. So in order for us to review a scholarship application or to look at any type of FAFSA or financial aid, you must have applied to the school first. You don't have to have been accepted necessarily, but that application does have to be in our system. So I put a link in the chat where you can submit your application. I've also added the promo code that you can utilize to save a little money on that application fee. And then I also included the guidebook because each program that you're applying for has different requirements. But if you click on that little guidebook and you scroll to the program that you want, the degree level or certificate that you're looking for, it'll tell you exactly what you need to provide. And you can do that all on our application on our website. You can upload everything. You can also just get started with some of those basic requirements on the application. Say, for example, like your name, date of birth, address, year that you're graduating high school, of course, the program that you want to do, when you want to start. So all that general information, you can do that, pay your application fee, and then all the other requirements, you can connect with your admissions advisor and they can walk you through all that other stuff. So if you want to, especially for those scholarships that are due on Sunday, and you haven't applied for admissions just yet, go ahead and do that right away. I would recommend you do it today. That way we can start collecting as many of those requirements as possible. And then that way you don't miss any of the deadlines or any opportunities, because that will be the last opportunity for our fall quarter. So I don't want you guys to miss out. For winter and future starts, just keep looking at our website for updated dates. It'll deadlines. It'll have everything there. But we always have, different opportunities to apply for scholarships. So always keep an eye out for our scholarship page, and everything's updated quite frequently.
Eric, was there anything specific that you wanted to cover? Maybe even based on some of the questions that you were getting?
No, you guys pretty much covered everything, but as a reminder for those who have applied for MI, they haven't gotten a response or an update regarding financial aid. I'm gonna add our email there so you can send us just a notification. We are busy at times and sometimes there may be some delays, but we are trying to reach everyone as fast as possible. You can send an email, that way we have you on our record and we are able to reach to you soon. I'll go ahead and add it in the chat so everyone has it. Yeah, we pretty much touch everything as far as like applying for MI, submitting a FAFSA, applying for scholarships, and the upcoming deadline, which again is this weekend.
All right.
So one little thing, William asked about the organization that does official translation of documents. So I put it again in the chat. It's called NACES, NACES.org. So it's in there, William. Connect with them and they'll tell you what the requirements are. They'll just pick a member of that NACES organization. Again, we recommend SpanTran because that's usually the fastest, but you can do whomever you'd like.
Sorry, just responding to someone in the chat. What did I want to cover there? Perfect. Oh, a couple of things for our international students. And I apologize, I didn't cover this earlier, but potentially getting funding from your country. Make sure you research that. I know that it may not have this, the organization may not have the same name in every country, but I know several countries that it's referred to as the Ministry of Education. So just whatever organization you would go to apply for funding to go to college, if there is such a thing, see if you can apply for funding to be able, that you can utilize in another country. There are definitely countries that are already approved. They have pre-approved programs. MI is on their list. If students are coming from Canada, Sweden, the UK, and there's several other ones. So it could be possible. Just do your research in your country, and again, see if there's anything that you can apply for where you can utilize some funding while studying in another country. It also makes me think of, if any of you are doing some research, let's say mostly on scholarships, but maybe if it's even just any type of funding, whether you're in the US or in another country, and you run across something that has very specific requirements. If you see something that says, well, in order to apply for this opportunity, the college you're going to must meet these requirements, or must, do this, this, and that. If you're not exactly sure, obviously just contact us. I've helped many students in that kind of situation. So has Martha. I know, Eric has helped out many students in the US with different types of funding. So just reach out to us, let us know, send us those requirements, just refer to us on where we can check out more info. And then we'll let you know if, either your program or if MI qualifies for that type of funding, and if you'll be able to use that funding with us. So we're more than happy to help you out with that. If you already have an assigned advisor, you can also reach out to your assigned advisor, and they can either assist you or they'll contact one of us. We'll jump in and we'll definitely help you out. I'm going to give all of you again my email address, and Martha and Eric, if you don't mind doing the same, that would be great. Or Eric, if you want to maybe again put in the email address for financial aid.
Yep.
And again, someone asked for the promo code, but Martha put that in there again for everyone, right?
I did.
Oh, actually, on my end, it looks like you put it for just host and panelists.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, let me do it one more time.
Mhm.
Apologies,
I'll do
everyone.
the app and promo code again, Martha.
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Okay. We
Sorry
like
about
to
that.
we like to race each other on these sometimes.
Yes, we do. There's the promo code. And then I also did the same thing for host and panelists. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I do apologize, everyone. My contact info is there as well.
Perfect. And Eric, did you put in the financial aid? Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Martha, have we covered future events yet, or
That's
another?
what I was actually just gonna talk about that. Yeah, so we do have a couple of events coming up later this year. So on Saturday, October 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going to be having a virtual open house. This is a really wonderful opportunity for people who are not local to the LA area, or even if you are, to join us for a couple of hours. You get to meet faculty, you get to meet staff, and get information about all the different programs that we offer. You're welcome to skip around, jump around between different programs if you're interested in different things, but they give you a quick overview of what each program entails, some of the benefits. They'll talk about some success stories. They'll talk about our wonderful staff, our wonderful instructors. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to get familiar with MI. And then if you're local to the LA area, or if you want to come down to LA, drive or fly, whatever you would like, and do an in-person open house, that one is going to be on Saturday, November 16th, also at 10 a.m. And that one lasts all the way up until like 1 or 2 p.m. And we have hands-on breakout sessions. So again, if you're interested in, whatever program, your guitar, whatever it might be, you'll join a specific breakout session and do a little hands-on thing. So it's really interactive. It's really wonderful. You get to meet some of our faculty. They ask you as they can address any questions that you want. You're also able to audition live for all of the performance programs. Sometimes it's a lot easier than, doing recordings. You just rip the Band-Aid off and audition, and we'll let you know right then and there if you're accepted or not. But we would love to have you here. It's a really fun event. We usually have breakfast and a couple of snacks and then lunch at the end for everybody who's participated. So we look forward to having you here or virtually, whichever is more convenient for you. Steve put in the information in the chat so you can register. And then all of that information, not only will it be emailed to you, but it also lives on our website. So if you want to take a quick look, just look on our website and there's a link there, I'm so sorry, that you can click and you can register right then and there. But we want to see you. It's a fun event.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martha. Unless we're already going to see you in October anyways, as a student on
Yes,
campus.
exactly.
Or even online. That was one thing, I think most of you, I'm sure, probably saw this, but that was another thing I wanted to make sure you're all aware that the scholarships that we offer are for both on campus and for MI online, all of them. So, whether it's program specific, the development, the musicianship, International Musicians Merit, they all apply to both on campus and online. So definitely keep that in mind. When I talk about online, I always like to mention this as well. And this is also this is a great way to start in fall. So let's say maybe you haven't started in fall yet, or you're gonna be an MI online student, but you would love to come to campus at some point. You can definitely do that. You can start online and then transfer to campus at a later date. The key thing to remember there is that you can only complete 50% of your program, both online and or on campus, right? So let's say, for example, the easy one is if you're going to do a 1-year certificate program and you're starting online, well, you can do your first 2 quarters online, which would be 6 months. And then at that point, if you want to be on campus, you have to make sure you transfer to campus and you take the following 2 quarters or 6 months on campus. So we're seeing that quite often. I think it's a really cool way to go. So definitely keep that in mind. Did I put this in? No, there's another. Yeah, I also just recently put in another link again for the financial aid page on Musicians Institute or on our website, and also the MI scholarship link. So definitely check that out. What else did I want to put in here? Here's also some information for other scholarships. So again, these are some of the outside scholarships you may be able to apply for. And once again, I'm going to send all these to you. You're going to receive it in the email, the follow-up email. But in case you want to start checking some of that out now. And I think that is most of them. Somebody also had a question. I think Eric answered it in the Q&A. But I thought this was a good question. Is it a good idea to work part-time while going to school? That's completely up to you. I will say we have seen many, many students do it over the years. I've seen students do it the entire time they're in the program. I've seen students, and this is myself included, where they started off having a part-time job and working part-time while going to school. And then at a certain point, just felt like couldn't do it anymore. or just, really wanted to try to not work part-time anymore. And just fully focus on school. It really comes down to your personal preference, what you can handle. I think I'd say go ahead and give it a shot. I mean, here's what I would recommend is that, especially if you're going to be a full-time student, keep this in mind. You're going to have at least probably about 15 hours a week of class time. And then you want to dedicate an equal amount of time to studying, doing your homework, practicing. Then you're probably going to want to be in bands and all that. It's very, very easily to be here at MI as a full-time student, 30 to 40 hours a week, right? So if you're going to work, I suggest trying to get some hours on the weekend if you can, because there's no classes on the weekend. Our campus is open. Online students are oftentimes networking with each other and getting together online on the weekend, but you won't have required courses on Saturday and Sunday. So keep that in mind. And your number of hours per week, I would try to keep it around 20. Try to have a part-time job if possible. I have seen some remarkable students, though, that I don't know how they did it. That blew me away, where they literally were working like a full-time job. They're working 30 to 40 hours a week and going to school pretty much full-time. Again, I don't know how they did it. I can't do it. Well, I couldn't even do it in my 20s, and I certainly wouldn't do it now. So again, all up to you. But I think it's absolutely possible. Oh yeah, can you go to school online part-time? Absolutely. That's a great way to go. So for both, again, on-campus and online programs and classes, we do offer part-time schedule. If you're a full-time student, that means you're going to be taking 12 to 15 credits per quarter. If you're part-time, we literally cut that in half. We try to keep you every quarter at around 7 to 8 credits per quarter. Now keep in mind it can be easier, again, whether you're on campus or online. Doing part-time can help you out with managing cost. If you have a balance of tuition, oftentimes it will lower that a little bit. And of course, just managing your schedule. So yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because directly relates to even working part-time. If you were going to be working while going to school, then you probably want to look at the part-time option for studying.
The only thing I want to point out with that, with the part-time, is our bachelor programs. We don't offer a
Thank you.
part-time schedule for bachelor programs or master program, the graduate level program, just because they're a little bit more rigorous. So no part-time for that, but that doesn't mean that you can't work part-time. It's just gonna, you're just gonna have to work your schedule around your classes.
Yep, it's an excellent point. Yeah, if you did the bachelor program part-time, it would take you like 20 years. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Not quite that long, but it will take a long time because, what it's the thing to keep in mind there is, we've mentioned lengths of programs. Most of it, when we mentioned that like 6-month to 1-year certificate, that's full-time. The associate degree programs are 1.5 years, that's full-time. So you literally double that amount. So your 1-year certificate now becomes a 2-year certificate program. The 1.5 year associate degree program could be up to 3 years to complete that if you're doing it part-time the entire time. You can switch. We just require or ask that you don't switch back and forth between full-time, part-time. So you can make one switch, and we've seen that. Maybe students, start full-time and maybe it's just a bit too much for them, so they want to switch to part-time. That's fine. And you can do it the other way. Maybe you start off part-time, but then you want to accelerate your program at the end, right? You don't want it to take up to 3 years for your associate degree. You want to go ahead and get it done. So maybe halfway through your program, you go and switch to full-time, so you're knocking out a little faster. You can definitely do that. You have those options. Okay, we are pretty much at time, and I think that's it. I think we've answered the questions in the chat, the Q&A. So I want to be the first to say thank you all very much for attending. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Again, you will be receiving an email tomorrow. We'll include this video and a bunch of links and resources and all kinds of information for you to check out. And yeah, you all should have that in your inbox by tomorrow afternoon. And I think that's it. So Martha, Eric, thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Just a
Thank
quick
you all.
reminder, your admissions advisor will connect with you guys starting tomorrow, the latest early next week. So be on the lookout for that, and they'll help you with all of this stuff as well. Have a good night, have a good day, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.